Welcome back to Lantern Insights. As many of you know, Mox Opal, now unbanned, has been banned for a long time given that it's a pretty broken card. And so in this video we're just going to give a nice example of why Mox Opal is super broken. This is going to be a bit of a shorter video. This was a practice game that I played when preparing a Abzan list. Just wanted to try it out a bit, so jumped into some practice games. There'll be a full league with this list, or a very similar list with a couple minor changes coming out in a couple days. So don't forget to subscribe so you see that. Anyway, in this hand, I open this hand here and see Mox Opal plus 2 Baubles and an Urza Saga, which means you can, on turn 2, activate Urza Saga to start making 4/4s, which is pretty good. Not something Lantern usually has access to. So I keep this hand, obviously. We lead on Saga. Importantly, it has turn 2 either Bridge or either Ensnaring Bridge or Urza Saga tokens, kind of depending on what we need in the matchup. Here I elect not to play everything out. I don't actually know if this is correct or not. I haven't played with Opal that much. The kind of the two sides of the argument are when you lead on Urza Saga, they're maybe more likely to think you're prime time, less likely to hold up turn 2 interaction. If you run it out, they're more likely to play the counter spells. Probably we should play, like, we don't want it to expose it to removal, so maybe running out Opal and Baubles before you play Saga is the correct way to go. Let me know what you think in the comments. And they just lead on Scalding Tarn and pass here, so we're gonna, Saga's gonna tick up to 2, and we're just gonna start dumping artifacts, get the Opal down. And here, definitely seeing blue-red may be correct to play around counter spells. I guess it depends on what's more important in the format, counter magic or removal. They get a Thundering Falls here. Again, ends up being Splinter Twin, another one of the decks that got unbanned, and as you'll see, we end up just racing Splinter Twin, which is not really something that Lantern Control should be able to do. Here, so we're just going to keep making constructs. One of the reasons we played the Concealed Courtyard before the Glimmer Void was that we knew we were likely making a construct this turn, so we're then able to hold the Glimmer Void, play it. If we drew something like Ancient Stirrings, we'd be able to play the Glimmer Void and still play Ancient Stirrings. Whereas if we had played the Glimmer Void as our second land and drew Ancient Stirrings, then the Concealed Courtyard doesn't function in that way. In terms of hand size here, got a comment on another video about making it bigger. I am just experimenting with a few things on size, so if you have any recommendations for layout, kind of what makes it easier to see, just better video quality, let me know. I'll include a link to the Lantern Discord in the description. You can find me in there or just leave a comment on the video. Either way, because again, I can't really teach Lantern if it's hard to see it, so I want to make content that's easy for people to see. So they just play Consider, and we're going to have turn 4 lethal here, which out of Lantern is kind of disgusting. Even with Urza Saga previously, when we were able to threaten lethal, it would be turn 5 at the earliest, and that was somewhat of a stretch. But here, obviously this is a very good draw for the deck. Now, we didn't have hand disruption, so that kind of hurts it a bit, but it's still very good. And even though we've lost the land from Urza Saga being sacrificed, again, Mox Opal I think works extremely well with Urza Saga. And I guess I didn't mention we got Codex Shredder off of the Urza Saga trigger because it works well with Mishra's Bauble, being able to filter our own draws just being important here. So we're going to move to combat right away. And here they flash in a Deceiver Exarch, meaning we're still attacking, obviously, but they do stop lethal from here. And then they elect not to block with the Exarch. If you're not familiar with it, Splinter Twin plus Deceiver Exarch infinite combo is going to win them the game. and importantly, they all have 1 power. So in order for Ensnaring Bridge to stop this, we do actually need to have our hand empty. And so here we run out Prismatic Ending. I think Mox Opal makes Prismatic Ending way better. I was already very high on Prismatic Ending, and I still am with Opal, just the color requirements. It's a fantastic removal spell. Yes, it trades even on mana, but you're able to hit a ton of things. One notable exception might be something like Leyline Binding, where you're not able to hit that, but hopefully we can use it to complement our hand disruption, where we now have, if you're playing a 4-4 split of Thoughtseize Inquisition and then 4 pendings, you have 12 cards that effectively take out most of your opponent's deck, and you should be in good shape. So now, again, we're in a point where both of these are lethal. If they spend 3 to sink into Stupor one of them, again, they're going to die. So from here on out, it's just we swing with creatures every turn. They're going to flash in a Deceiver Exarch, just buying themselves another turn, tapping one, and then chump blocking the other. Importantly, you do not want to run out Ensnaring Bridge here because you're winning by attacking. So we're going to play Lantern, and yeah, they're completely dead here, and they concede game 1. So essentially we raced Splinter Twin with Lantern. I think Mox Opal's a pretty good card. And so obviously the bigger feature of this video is to highlight game 1 and just kind of the broken Opal start, but I figured, we got to show the game 2 here as well, where we're going to run out Welding Jar, and importantly we play the Spire here. I'm actually going to pause briefly and talk about that, where I think the little bit of damage you're going to take off of Spire makes up for it, especially when you have an Urza Saga in hand that you want to play turn 2. So we could have easily gone turn 1 Concealed Courtyard into Inquisition and then still had Thoughtseize up, but we really want the flexibility of having the option of playing Stirrings either on turn 2 or turn 3, depending on the lands we draw. And then looking at this hand, we take the counterspell. We have a second Thoughtseize for Snapcaster. Exarch on its own does not particularly matter that much. We're more concerned with it comboing. And I think with this hand, we'll be able to use Urza Saga to find Codex Shredder to complement the Lantern that we have in hand. Which allows us, we're going to Stirrings here. We just kind of want the most info possible. So I often Stirrings first. I'm kind of looking for specific things, but I'll grab whatever at that point. You could make the argument of waiting a turn. However, I think them holding up Snapcaster into Thoughtseize is better for us. And we see here they're gonna, I guess not at this point, we're gonna Thoughtseize them. They're gonna flash in the Exarch, but again, it doesn't really matter. We're not making constructs with Urza Saga anyway. And so we take Snapcaster. We do see they are playing Suspend as a removal spell, which is pretty good against construct tokens. Actually, I think it's a good removal spell across the board, but does not see a lot of play. And then again, from this point, we are just digging for an Ensnaring Bridge. Honestly, I would take this position against most decks where we're missing Bridge. We're going to make the construct, force them to use. We did end up taking Suspend because we wanted to make a singular construct to block. We're not necessarily going to attack for the win with it, but because we have the top deck control, we can just use the one construct just to hold the fort down until we find it. And obviously Ancient Stirrings on top, just improving our draws here. So I took Academy Ruins. Honestly, you could make an argument for Bauble just for drawing here, but I just thought it was a good card to have. We're still in a very, very commanding position. And something like Deceiver Exarch, I'm more milling that to just mill myself. And we find another Codex Shredder. Cursed Totem was one of the sideboard cards I brought in. From here, yeah, we just end up beating down with the one. I'm pretty sure we just end up beating down with the construct. They don't find an answer to it. And then, yeah, so from here, we win game 2, beating Twin, kind of confirming that Lantern is more broken than Twin. Was Mox Opal a safe unban? Honestly, who knows? The card is very good, and I can't wait to play it more. Just wanted to show off this one broken game with Opal, and hopefully there's more in future gameplay videos.